Brilliant.
Fucking hell, I lose the quad off already.
Welcome, gents. As we said, this is the shot that people want. It's very good of you both to join us. Can I just start with, you were actually just chatting away about the course. What have you both made of the way the course unfolds here in Ibiza?
I think the swim course, ocean swim, it's nice, clear water, and yeah, nice with a 2-lap swim. I think it's 2 laps. And then the run course is maybe like where I really like the course. Like it's a very compact, 6.5 laps downtown, flat, fast, and yeah, the bike course is simple, out and back, between 2 roundabouts, and not as hilly as we were expected. So I think I really like the swim and the run course, really.
You happy?
Yeah, I love the bike course, obviously, because I'm going to smash it on the bike course. Now, what's there to say? It's honestly, it's pretty much a short distance course made into a longer distance, and I think it's spectator friendly. And for us, we got to put out the watts. You know, the thing is, the more turnarounds, better for this guy because he's used to. I even see him like always slightly. He leans into the turnaround and then he goes for it. Whereas I try and take as much speed. You know, maybe they can build me like
a ramp.
Yeah, like a ramp like last time. Yeah, that would be good.
We'll see if we can get that built for you for Saturday. Tell me about Ibiza as well. And obviously, you know, PTO is doing some. I don't know how much of it you've seen, but for you to come to Ibiza to be able to race means what? And I'd love to know also where else on the globe you'd love the PTO to stick a pin. I'd love to go race.
I think it's always great to get to new locations. There's not just coming back to the same place where we've been like almost 10 times before, but it's like new location, and the sport is taking you all across the world. And yeah, never been to Ibiza, and yeah, seems good. Like the Spanish crowd is almost like is always good, and bringing really out the best of you, and that's something I really like.
Have you seen the best of Ibiza, or you just imagine you're keeping it quite focused in the run-up, maybe after the race?
Quite frankly, I've only seen the worst of Ibiza
right,
so far.
Okay.
But I did have to laugh this morning cycling past some of the iconic nightclubs. I indeed also have never been to Ibiza. You know, we're a professional athlete. I think it's something that you always miss out in the summer. You know, everybody's like, Ibiza, you have to go one day. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe. And now we're here, which is kind of cool. But it's race day, you know, we're trying to see the island. It's of course great because this island is accustomed, so I could bring my yacht and, you know, sleep in the harbor, which is convenient. But other than that, yeah, jokes aside, it's I think it's a spectacular island that has lots to offer, and hopefully someone else will get to see a little bit more than we have so far.
Oh man, boxing's got a problem at the moment. I think I asked both of you earlier how much you like boxing, but boxing's got a problem at the moment. It can't get the best to fight the best. How good for triathlon to have the best against the best on the start line on Saturday?
At least for me, this is like a race I've been looking forward for, yeah, maybe like 10 years. Like he was like the top of the sport when I was figuring out what triathlon was all about. When I start Googling triathlon, he crossing the finish line in Beijing popped up in the video of that, and
that's 15, mate. It's been a while.
So the fact that I now have the chance to race, yeah, that. So I would say like 2 different generations. It's really cool.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it is cool because we have the 2 generations, but we also have the 3rd one in the middle. Alistair, the 3rd guy here, missing in the circle. It's always cool to race him. I hope he's in shape and healthy because he always makes any race interesting. You've obviously raced against him in the short distance after I retired from that already. But it's cool. We all get together here and yeah, try and kick each other's heads in on Saturday. And afterwards we'll shake hands and go for a pizza together. So it's unique in the sport. You know, you'd never find that in boxing kind of thing or other sports, you say. There is always like a friendly rivalry, and you know, we all want to push each other to the best and get the most out of each other, and certainly a super competitive, but yeah, it's still a unique vibe, I think.
Which makes it very, very special. Is there an opportunity for a collaboration with Alistair not in the room? Is there anything that you can...
I think it's more opposite. Like he's probably going to work with Alice and hope that I'm not there on the swim, and yeah, I just have to make sure that I'm having a great swim so I can sort of have control on the 2 older guys from the early on the bike.
I've been thinking about waiting for you on the run, actually.
So, okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling optimistic. I saw you running 8x1K on the track the other day. I was like, oh yeah, it's okay. You know, it's okay.
Cam-
I'm feeling good. So we'll
Cam Ruff told me that he was cracking you on the track in Andorra. So
Yeah.
he was more convinced that he would be up there on the
Yeah,
run.
Cam Worth went for a swim with his dog this morning. I'm not sure I take his word and his accuracy for actually being in the game.
Amazing. Interestingly, when you and we use the boxing analogy, you put the fighters head to head. There's often an element of the psychological before the fight takes place. Is there anything going on in that regard? Have you got little tells that you're picking up from other competitors? Or you just
Yeah, I
very
mean,
focused on
I
your
was
thing?
riding around on the track when I posted that Strava session,
There we go.
just to get
Right.
that get into his head before the race. So now he thinks that I'm in my run shape of my life.
Well,
So-
I was running the same set this morning. So. No, it's honestly, of course, it's always a part of it, you know, because we have, especially in triathlon, there are so many Tuesday afternoon world champions. That's the way it goes, and we have it in each other's training groups. We've seen people come through over the years, and it's different. Like being at the top of the game means you have to be focused so that you perform every time you're asked to perform, and that is there's definitely a mental game and aspect to it. And I think that's the unique thing, and that's the cool thing about Kristian and what he's done, is to be able to perform at the Olympics is already a pinnacle, because you have one shot in 4 years. Alistair's obviously gotten that because he's done it twice back to back in 4 years, which is super impressive. But then to perform over longer distances, and the good thing is just, especially now for me as an older guy, like I look at the sport and I have a bit of distance because I'm not really, it's a different generation, and I look at it and I look at all these guys talking a big game, and there's a lot of people talking a big game, but there's not many people delivering big. So when you do, like for me as a fan of the sport, it's also, it's something that I used to do, really. Talk shit and try and deliver.
Talking a big game?
Yeah, I think we all do, and we've all been performing on the biggest stage. So some of us will probably fail on Saturday. You know, you can't have 3 guys winning the same race. So
Hold hands? No.
When Saturday comes. Total gear change, but I'd love to get both of your views on Collin Chartier. It's obviously it's made not just headlines in triathlon, but outside the sport as well. Your reaction when you heard and you saw the statement that he put out?
It's the first time I'm filmed reacting to this, and like it makes my blood boil. Like I lost my shit. Not only because of the fact that he took EPO, but the statement is such a blatant bullshit lie, where I'm like, there's nothing congruent about the statement, and there is nothing that's got any sense of backbone to this. The apology is completely without any consequence. There is no genuine process to this, and whereas I feel he might not be ready to do this, I have no patience for it at all. Like I rallied for a law along with some of my other professional athletes in Germany that for this kind of thing we would go to jail. So if you come out and publicly state you have been doped, you go to jail. It's a criminal offense. And he just comes along and he says on day one, well, I'm sorry, I did it in November, so I'm ready for off season, and I'm ready to move on. It makes my blood boil. It really does.
And so lack of self-regretting, he didn't really regret it even. It was more like, seems on the interview, he was sort of blaming everyone else around him. And he reckoned he was clean when he won Dallas PTO Open.
and he was useless for years. Sorry, man.
400 to 1 shot in Dallas, I think he was.
He was?
He was a 400 to 1 shot in Dallas.
Yeah. So like, to then both say that he reckoned everyone else in that field was using drugs, and then he was the only one who was clean, and then come out and say that
And he mentions us, and we weren't even there.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's mind-boggling. It really is. Yeah, makes me proper aggressive.
Your point about jail is a very interesting one. I was going to ask you, what do you do? How do you shut this out of triathlon? I mean, is jail a feasible option in some of these territories? I mean, or is it got to be giving the money back? What would you like to see as the punishment beyond holding your hands up and walking away?
financially you have to go beyond what he tested positive in February, and then reckon he should keep the the money from Dallas. Like he probably made $200,000 last year. So of course you want him to be forced to pay those money back and not just come out with a probably false explanation that he started in November.
For me, it's not about money. Like genuinely, like money, yes, it has to hurt, but I just believe there has to be a genuine consequence. You know, for him to walk away for 3 years and just go about his everyday it actually hurts, because we're the ones who have to clean up the mess that he's left behind, and we've been in the sport for years. I've been on a registered testing pool for 15 years, providing 365 days of presence where I have to present a slot every single hour. 1 hour of every single day. Like I can't go on holiday anywhere without providing an anti-doping slot. And it's, this guy, just walks away, and I do believe it's a crime. It's a fraud, and you have to face the consequences. I mean, the thing is, yes, you can say it's only sport, but it's professional sport. It's not a hobby, and there is so much more. We talk about legend, what you want to leave behind, the example you set to the other generation, and it's just, if you're a professional, that's what comes with it, and that privilege, when misused, must be punished.
One of the really interesting things from an outsider's point of view is how strong the athletes have spoken, and in the terms in which they have stated their opinion. What does that tell you about triathlon and about the elite group at the top of this sport?
Well, it's easy to just be the one who is screaming the loudest. So I don't know really what it tells.
But in something like sprinting, for example, where you get a lot of these instances, you don't often hear other athletes coming out and speaking in such strong terms as you have. Have you got a view on what it says about this sport, the integrity of it, and those taking part?
Well, Collin serves himself of the excuse that it's the same as cycling. In cycling, that kind of thing where they used to say, it's just everybody that's doing it. And when you look into the cycling world and you read some of the accounts of dopers, that seems to really be the case. But it's almost become a fashionable model to be a doper, and a few years later you write a bestseller and you even make money off it. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And for us, I think we come into the sport probably at a later stage. There is much more education around the topic, and it is much more of an individual sport than a team sport. And I think that's why people feel strongly about it, because it genuinely, it's more than a job, and it's part of who we are.
Brilliant. PTO World number 1. Target is on the back. How comfortable being the hunted rather than the hunter? Which field you've got?
I think I enjoy coming into race as the rank number 1. It's because that's how I normally go into race, looking at myself, and to actually have that number as well is, I feel it's where I want to be and where I feel I should be.
You mentioned a bit earlier on, it's been a while between drinks. What has been the motivation to come back and have another drink when potentially you could have made a different decision?
I think once I made that decision to continue in 2019, that was kind of where you really want to get going and you want to do things, and I really wanted to do things on my terms. One more time, of course, you see that there is a generation of athletes coming up and some excellent performances, and really just to measure up, world rankings. I mean, we were talking about it on a ride yesterday, where Kristian seems to be the all year round performer and bloomer. And I went into the Olympics actually ranked number 27th in the world. But I think it's the same thing, you go into the mindset and you're like, yeah, this is it. I'm the best. Come get me.
I love it. What about this distance relative to Paris next year as well? What do you like about this distance? What are the challenges of this distance?
What I really like about the 100K is the fact that it's not just getting shorter just for the TV side of it. Like, it's really an endurance-based sport, and I find like the 100K is like well over 3 hours, and you can still race with quite a high intensity. So to find that balance between speed and endurance is it's tricky, and I think that's why also you saw so many guys, including myself, sort of cramping up in Edmonton earlier because of you think you can go faster, or you're not maybe prepared for going that intensity for that duration. And it's also short enough so you can actually squeeze out what you need to stay in the group for as long as you want.
I've got a question here about performance levels, but actually I read an article which I think was you questioning whether performance levels have actually gone in the right direction over the last few years. Is that something that you've looked at the detail? Has triathlon kicked on, or is it still relatively similar to what it was a decade ago?
I don't think I question whether it's gone the right direction. I think
Yeah.
it's gone in a good direction. I think
Yes.
there are people there. But people have moved on, and I would certainly question whether Ali Brownlee in his best day, to mention him once again, would not come out and simply obliterate a field in ITU style racing just because of the way he does it, being such a complete athlete. You look at running times and the generation of super shoes that's come in and all this kind of things. You're like, well, yeah, it's good, but it's not like, wow, it's gotten better or faster. But you do also have to be realistic and say that triathlon courses are very unique, and each one is different, and that's why it's exciting for me to be here to see how it actually is, because everybody, when I came to long distance, I also thought I was like the bee's knees, and these guys before me, they all like, oh my God, the old guys, what do they even want? But if you look at performances, minus all the aero gains, minus the super shoes, minus the great new suits and all of this kind of stuff, I'm not entirely sure that the actual level of performance has risen.
I don't think triathlon is the only sport where it doesn't go faster. Like if you look at swimming, for example, the split is going like gradually down from the games to games. So I think like in general, like the level is.
Yeah, I agree. The depth of field has definitely come up, and yeah, there's certain standout performances, no doubt. But there've been some good guys over the years, and girls.
And there will be again. Brilliant, fantastic. Can I ask you? You can play a sort of a void card if you want. Could you give us your predicted 3-2-1 in the women's race?
I'm not one for
Don't
predictions.
have to do that.
No.
Have you got a view on the women's race?
Chelsea
Yeah.
and Paula Finlay second, and Ash third.
Good call. 3-2-1 in the men's race. You're not even predicting your own.
No.
I can do it.
Go on then, Kristian.
Me first. Jan catching Alistair and end of the run second, and Alistair third.
Okay.
There we go.
We'll leave it there. Gents, is going to be mega. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
Both of you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Well done, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Hopefully
Thank you.
relatively painless.